Hello Crucible Creations, welcome to another KeyForge video. There hasn't been a whole lot of news in the KeyForge space as of late. I tried putting off this video in hopes that something big might happen or come out, but kind of just sitting, waiting for the game found. So let's crack into this. I'm not sure exactly what we're looking for in these Age of Ascension decks, but I know my luck with cards isn't the best. And the past couple decks haven't been anything super to write home about. Some exciting Legacies and Mavericks, obviously, but not too much outside of that. So let's hope today something big comes out. Or let's hope that it comes out of the package at all. You're fighting with me today. Hope you guys all had a good one. A relatively uninteresting Wednesday from myself. Alrighty. Let's get into this with the houses. We're looking at Untamed, Sanctum, and Shadows. Not bad. I haven't had great luck with Untamed lately, and hopefully that doesn't continue. This is Ferowind, the Hacker of the Moor. That's interesting. That Archon looks really cool. Don't know if you could see it through the plastic there. Evil face, big arms. It's a well-made character, to say the very least. Well, give me just a moment. We'll crack this open and start digging through some cards. Alrighty, here we are with the card breakdown. A closer look at that Archon. A really cool looking Archon. I think the gray color fits it really well. I'm gonna set the deck list off to the side here. We'll start getting into these cards. Starting off with Untamed, our rare is Witch of the Wilds. 4-power creature. During each turn in which Untamed is not your active house, you may play one Untamed card. Let's hope some really good actions are sitting up in here. Nepentseed, can't go wrong with Nepentseed, a very good recursion. It's an artifact with the ability Omni, sacrifice Nepentseed, return a card from your discard pile to your hand. That's any card, that's some really good recursion. Got some creature control. The action They're Everywhere. Play, deal 2 damage to each flank creature, to each enemy flank creature. Deal 1 damage to each enemy creature not on a flank. Ooh, I don't know that I've seen this card before. A Untamed action card. Play, shuffle any number of friendly Untamed creatures from your hand, discard pile, or battle line back into your deck. Interesting. Some more recursion. We've got 2 of those. Shuffle any number, so you could say 0. Rusnar, some artifact control. It's a 4-power creature with fight. Destroy an artifact. If that artifact had an amber bonus, you gain that much amber. Then we've got Marma Swarm, a 2-power creature that gains power equal to the amount of amber in your pool. Then Nox, relatively mediocre Age of Ascension Untamed creature. With 3 power, gets plus 3 power for each neighbor it has. 2 of those. Ooh, Key Charge. It's good with the Nepentseed. Let's hope we can get some more amber gain out of this Untamed. It's an action. Play, lose 1 amber. If you do, you may forge a key at current cost. Then we've got Glimmer, some more recursion. 1-power creature with alpha. Play, return any card from your discard pile to your hand. Ooh, then we've got Full Moon. Okay, an interesting way to gain amber. With Full Moon, for the remainder of the turn, gain 1 amber each time you play a creature. Stinks that Glimmer is alpha there, but it's okay. Then we've got Shadows, starting off with the Sting. That's a really interesting way to build up amber, actually. And we've got 2 ways to return Key Charge. We could play Key Charge for our first key, maybe. Maybe with Witch of the Wilds on a Shadows turn. Sacrifice the Sting. And then we skip our Forge a Key step, but we wouldn't need the Forge a Key step if we keep using a Key Charge. Interesting. Okay. Well, here we are. Shadows are rare. It's the artifact of the Sting. You skip your Forge a Key step, but you get all amber spent by your opponent when forging a key. And then you have to action to sacrifice it. It's important that it says action there, because it means you have to do it on a Shadows turn. This is a really interesting card. I feel like it can help or harm you. You just have to find the right timing, the right patience and way to play it. But it feels like it could be pretty interesting in this deck. Another artifact here, Special Delivery with Omni Sacrifice Special Delivery to deal 3 damage to a flank creature. If this damage destroys that creature, you purge it. Pretty great for those low health targets that end up on the flanks. Then we've got Redlock, a 3-power creature with Skirmish, and at the end of your turn, if you did not play a creature this turn, gain 1 amber. Ooh, Perplexing Sophistry. You gain an amber from the amber bonus, which is important with this card, and its action play. If you have more amber than your opponent, they discard a random card from their hand, and you draw 1. That would be easy with the Sting. Another key cheat, this one in Shadows. Its action play, if you have not forged a key this turn, you may forge a key at +4 current cost. It's an interesting key cheat because it doesn't reduce the cost of the key in any way, which a lot of the more efficient key cheats do, or kind of, key charge, I lose 1 amber, but it's not as bad as the effectively losing 4 that Night Forge would cost, but it's got an amber bonus, and with the Sting, again, I think it's possible. Maybe we just play the Sting and then never take it out of play and just keep forging in our turns. Then we've got Merkins here, a 2-power creature play. Choose a random card in your opponent's archives or the top card of your opponent's deck. Play that card as if it were yours. Nice. Ooh, Lights Out. Play, return 2 any creatures to their owner's hand. A great creature control there. We've got Brend the Fanatic, some needed amber control. 3-power creature with Skirmish. On play, your opponent gains 1 amber, but when he's destroyed, steal 3. Now we need something like Life for a Life or Pawn Sacrifice so that we can destroy him on the same turn we play him. Whistling Darts, deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. Some more creature control. Ooh, Sucker Punch. Not well with Glimmer. Glimmer sitting in Untamed is also alpha, but they're in different houses at least, so we won't have to worry about them interacting really. It's just never fun having more than 1 alpha card. Alpha has to be the first card you play. Deal 2 damage to an enemy creature. If that creature is destroyed by this effect, archive Sucker Punch. Oh, and then Nerve Blast. Nerve Blast is a great card. Some amber control and creature control in 1 with no real downside. It's play, steal 1, period. If you do, deal 2 damage to a creature. Oh, and then Dusk Chronicles combos pretty well with Perplexing Sophistry if you're going certain routes. It gives you an amber, which is important for this card. Play if your opponent has more amber than you, draw a card. If you have more amber than your opponent, archive 1. So you could try and play that around the Perplexing Sophistry. Okay, and here we are in Sanctum. Phemos Lightbringer, typically not a card you want to see in combo with Shadows, and let's go back through here really quick. Actually, I don't think I had a single elusive creature in Untamed or in Shadows. No, okay, so there's no detractor from that. That's actually fantastic. So it's a 6-power angel. To my knowledge, this was the first angel type creature to appear in KeyForge, was in Age of Ascension with Vemos. Play, destroy each elusive creature. I could be wrong, I'll have to double check me there, but... Oh, and then we got one of the special Age of Ascension cards. In Age of Ascension, in case you didn't know, there were special cards that could appear in any house in any deck called the Ambassadors. And so an ambassador from a different house could show up, or maybe it was only Sanctum. I think it was Sanctum had a bunch of different ambassadors. So if you had Sanctum, you could get a different house's ambassador, like the Dis ambassador, the Shadows, and we got the Untamed ambassador. Stinks that this is actually our first elusive card. Really funny how that happened right after Vemos, but super, super interesting stuff. 1 power human, fight/reap, you may play or use an Untamed card this turn. We've got, wow, we've got a decent amount of like out-of-house play with the wilds and this, and some key cheats. This is looking to be a really interesting deck. Oh, and then the perfect piece for playing out of house, we've got Prince Derek Unifier. Play, gain 3 amber if you control creatures from 3 different houses. So if we have like Merkins and then a Sanctum creature on the board, and then we can use maybe the Untamed Ambassador or Witch of the Wilds if we... but Witch of the Wilds would already be in play. Okay, so it would have to be the Untamed Ambassador. But it's a sneaky way to get an Untamed out if we already have the Shadows and Sanctum. Oh, and some artifact control outside of Rusnar. That's awesome. Gorm of Om. It's an Omni artifact. You have to sacrifice it to destroy another artifact. I had a game recently where I realized you have to be pretty careful about Gorm of Om. I was playing at our locals, and I had we were playing some mass mutations, and I had a Dark Amber Vault out with Gorm of Om, and the opponent didn't have any Amber control, so I felt like I was doing pretty good, but then they played a Nexus, and I couldn't get rid of it fast enough. Nexus, for those of you who don't know, is on the screen now. Shadow's creature that I believe says reap, use a enemy artifact as if it was yours. They used their Nexus before I could get rid of it to Omni Gorm of Om and get rid of my own Dark Amber Vault. It was a very, very upsetting turn to experience. Then we have the action here, Smite. Ready and fight with a friendly creature and deal 2 damage to the attacked creature's neighbors. Some splash attack pre-Winds of Exchange here. Then we have the Sanctum action, Shield of Justice. Play, for the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature can't be dealt damage. That's nice. Sanctum artifact, upgrade rather, Protect the Weak. This creature gains +1 armor and taunt. That's good. 2 of those with the amber bonus. That's nice. Then we've got a Sanctum artifact here, action, Hollowed Shield. Action, choose a creature. For the remainder of the turn, chosen creature can't be dealt damage. Nice. Ooh, and then we've got Shall the Safeguard, a 4-power, 2 armor creature with deploy and taunt. You get to put them anywhere to protect anybody with 3 of those. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll have a very safe Witch of the Wild, very safe, oh goodness, what's it called? Untamed Ambassador. Got some interesting targets to keep safe here. This seems like a really interesting deck. I don't know how well the Amber generation comes out, but if we can get enough Amber, or even just holding on to the Sting for a deck that forges all of its keys in its turns, is so interesting to me. Granted, we need the efficiency to pull into those cards, and you're probably playing through your hand as quick as you can just to keep pulling cards, but once you get through them, there's a lot of ways to get them back once you get them in play. So I could even, early game, discard Nightforge, discard Key Charge, and then with Neppen Seed, with Glimmer, I think there was something else, return those from the discard pile. I think we're not looking at a very high SAS, being that this is Age of Ascension, but I think it's really promising. Some really cool, some really interesting cards. At the very least, the interaction here is pretty awesome. So give me just one moment. I will break up this deck and then we'll get into the card breakdown. Here we are with the deck breakdown of Ferowind, the Hacker of the Moor. We've got our 4 piles here with the Amber control, expected Amber, artifact control, and then creature control. And we'll just jump right into it. Right there, you see the SAS. 59, I think it is the highest that we've had so far, if I'm not wrong. I believe we've seen 58 and lower, so an interesting highest, but that's Age of Ascension for you. Some decent synergy in there. It's got the anti-synergy, although I think a lot of that honestly comes from Vemos and the Untamed Ambassador, just Vemos Lightbringer killing Elusive and the Untamed Ambassador being elusive. And then I think there was also some anti-synergy between Full Moon and Glimmer, Glimmer being alpha, Full Moon being the Amber gain from creature plays. And then that meta there is from the Amber control. We have really, really low Amber control. We'll get into that, but it's It is 2 cards that I made a comment about when I saw them going through the deck about the amber control that they provided. And we'll go ahead right here is our extras and counts. I have no idea if I pointed to that properly. I'll put it in the right place though. 14 amber bonuses, not bad. 14 actions, about par for actions. 15 creatures, a little bit less creatures than is typical to make room for some of our artifacts. We had about 2 more artifacts than average, which is nice. Gives to the efficiency a little. You want more actions and artifacts than you do with, or more artifacts rather, things that stick around that wouldn't cycle. We also had some archiving, kind of, with Sucker Punch archiving itself and Dust Chronicle possibly archiving. The upgrades are the Sanctum Protect the Weak, and then the key cheats, there are Night Forge and Key Charge. Nothing super crazy. Again, I'm happy to see an above average amount of artifacts there. It's a good sign, because this is the type of deck we seem to want to dig through pretty quickly. And we'll get rid of those. We'll go ahead and dive right into our Amber and Control section. So first off, we've got that 2.1 in Amber Control that is a whopping 2 cards, with Nerve Blast being steal 1 if you do 2 damage to a creature, and Brend the Fanatic with the opponent gains 1, steal 3. I think that it kind of stinks not having a super high Amber Control. It's something that's super important, that's why it's got those meta deductions, but I think that if we play our cards right and we get lucky with our draws, it won't matter. If we can get the sting out early, get through those shadows turns fast, get to our key cheats, 21 expected amber is pretty good. Here we are in our expected amber. Speaking of which, lowest card here we've got is Prince Derek Unifier. Great when you can get it to go off. Not a whole lot of ways to proc it in this deck. You've got the Untamed Ambassador that can help a little, but I don't think there was just a whole lot of creatures to hold down the board for him. But 3 amber is huge. Then we've got Redlock here, which is pretty awesome considering our low creature count for this deck. We've the one that at the end of your turn, if you didn't play a creature this turn, you gain an amber. Be great to keep on the board. Then there's Sting, just giving us all of our opponents amber when they forge keys, which is nice. That's a solid like 12 amber. If we can get it out early, we try and mulligan for this, I think. And then if we can get it out early and get that 12 amber, break it, hopefully get into some key cheats or something on the next turn. But it's interesting. It's definitely our highest way of gaining amber. Then, of course, we have Night Forge. If you have not forged a key this turn, you may forge a key at +4 current cost. Great combo there with the Sting. I think that Night Forge wasn't super noted in the expected amber. It was because of the bonus that even showed up there, but I included it because I feel like its purpose and the way that we'll use it, especially in this deck that's just trying to really quickly forge some keys. I think that this is the best space for it. Then Sucker Punch. You might be surprised this isn't in creature control. I think, again, in this deck, it isn't going to serve the purpose of that creature control. It'll achieve it because it has to destroy the creature to archive itself. But I think more importantly, it'll just be an extra amber every Shadow's turn. Could be pretty huge. And then lastly, our Full Moon. We had a decent number where I think we had 5 non-alpha untamed creatures and ways to recur creatures and do stuff like that. So I think Full Moon can definitely go off here in a really positive way, which is super important. We want to get that amber fast. And that was, again, 21 expected amber. Can't remember if I said it. Then we're here with the artifact control at 2, which is pretty good. Got our Rustnar, which is the fight, destroy an artifact. You can get a little bit of amber out of it, but it's pretty rare. Nice to have. It can be an interesting target that people focus to try and get off the board if they have a really important artifact. And then more importantly, we've got our Omni artifact here, Gorm of Om, which sacrifices itself to destroy an artifact. Unfortunate that one of our artifacts kind of recurs itself in that way. I think, did this deck also have the Nepin Seed? Yes, it did. So the Nepin Seed also recurs itself, but it's good to keep it off the board until a target comes in that's better fit. And then here we are with our creature control. Sitting at 8.2 isn't super great, but it's definitely better than some of our previous stuff. We're starting with Vemos, destroying each elusive creature. Can be pretty strong, especially if you're going against shadows. Whistling Darts, deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. Can knock out some of those really annoying targets. I think I brought it up in my last video, but this will be really good with crossplay with Winds of Exchange, depending on the token creature that your opponent's playing. Special Delivery, this is awesome just because if it destroys that creature, it purges it. So it's the Omni, deal 3 damage to a flank. Another Omni Sacrifice artifact. I guess all of our artifacts occur in some way. Interesting. Then we've got our Sanctum card here with Smite. Ready and fight with a friendly creature, dealing 2 damage to each attacked creature's neighbors. This is great for Vemos, the Lightbringer, just because it's a 6 power creature with a play effect. So we want to kind of fight them off the board quick. Great for some creature removal. Then our Shadows Lights Out, return 2 enemy creatures to their owner's hand, and they're everywhere. 2 damage to each enemy flank creature and 1 damage to each creature not on a flank. Could be an interesting combo with Whistling Darts, just kind of whittling them down. Just have to look out for something like Misery Exploit. Don't want that going off for our opponent. But that's everything. There isn't super anything crazy going on. That Untamed Ambassador is pretty awesome. And I think, again, I like the theory of this deck. I might play this against a friend or two pretty soon if we hang out, and maybe in my next deck opening or the one after that I'll discuss, see if I wasn't able to make that whole Sting thing happen. I really want to make it work. But we have one last thing to look at here with the speed and board. Again, nothing super crazy. I thought there would be a lot more board protection than there is, but Protect of the Weak and Shall the Safeguard only count for 0.25. So with 3 of the Shall the Safeguards and 2 Protect the Weaks, you're looking at a whopping 1.3. We got a little bit of efficiency. Would have loved to have seen more there. But 3.5 is not bad. It's better than going negative. Some decks can easily end up in the negatives. Board power is okay at an 80. We can keep some stuff safe, which I guess is the most important part. So we can get like Prince Derek Unifier out. Those high board numbers mostly come from the 3 Shall Safeguards, each of them counting for 7, I think mostly because of their power and armor, and then I guess Taunt maybe raises it a little because they've got 4 power, 2 armor, brings them up to a 7 somehow. Then with Recursion we've got the Nepin Seed and the Glimmer, but we also, what it doesn't bring up here is the Song of Spring that we have 2 of. It's not easy recursion, but it's like a earlier version of Not Finished With You, where you shuffle any number of friendly untamed creatures in specific from your hand, discard, or battle line back into your deck. You don't get to choose out-of-house stuff, but with things like Glimmer, or possibly bringing back Rusnar or Marma Swarm, or say we get them earlier, we have to discard them or play them, and then we draw into our full moon later, those Songs of Spring are pretty nice, and at the very least we can just play them for an amber and ignore their effect. And then with our Disruption, we've got just the Perplexing Sophistry, which can make discard, Lights Out, which goes back to hand, then Merkins, which lets us play one of our opponent's cards, and the other, you're looking at Merkins, the Sting, Key Charge, and Night Forge, bringing us up to a 2.4. Still not super sure what that means, but all in all, a pretty interesting deck. Again, I would love to see, I think, let's see if we can work it out super quick here. If we had the Sting, that could theoretically get us up to 12 amber. We're probably working with more than that. So say we have enough amber for all of our key cheats. How could we recur them? Could we get them all in one turn? With the Sting, we could do Action the Sting to break it. Although, it wouldn't matter if we can get all 3 of them. So we keep the sting up, I guess? Well, you would want to break it after your opponent forges 2 keys anyway. So action the sting, use Night Forge, and then I think that's it for that turn. Then you have to survive 1 more turn, goes to Untamed, play out whatever you can, get as much amber as possible, yada yada yada. If we have Witch of the Wilds out, actually, I think we could oh, you know what? If we have Neppen Seed on the board and Witch of the Wilds out, but during each turn in which Untamed is not your active house, you may play 1 Untamed card. Okay, so we could, hopefully we have 1 KeyForged through a previous key charge. Then we action the sting, we use Night Forge, Witch of the Wilds is out. We Omni Neppen Seed to return key charge to our hand, and then we play out key charge using Witch of the Wilds. So there's a way. It's convoluted, requires a lot of setup, but hey, there it is. It's possible. We theorized it right there at the end. So thank you guys so much for sticking through this with me. We're getting through this box. This is our 4th deck out of it. So we've got, what is that? I think there are 12 decks in a box. We've got like 8 more decks to go through. So we'll see. Hopefully we can get something pretty big in here. But if not, I'm just having fun opening them and talking with you guys about it. I've got some other stuff planned for the future. I'm hoping I can find some time to fix up a script, maybe make something special. And I'm hanging out for some KeyForge news here in the next day or 2. So hopefully we get something big. I know my locals and everybody, the feelings are slowly dying down from all the different KeyForge hypes, and now everybody's kind of sitting on their hands waiting for that game found. So hopefully that comes soon. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, you are awesome. Thank you so much. And as a good friend, Zach Armstrong always says, the most important part of KeyForge is the person sitting across the table. You guys have a great rest of your day.